All right, a lot of stuff going on the counter today. No bourbon tasting, well, per se today. I might sample a little bit of whiskey. I'll talk about that here in a moment. But if you've watched any of my earlier videos, you know that I've done a few experiments when it comes to whiskeys and aging, and I've done a couple things in the fermentation area as well. So I thought I would give you a quick review on some of those. So we're going to talk a little bit about some whiskey, a little bit about wine, a little bit about fermentation and some distillation, and maybe give you a little bit of a heads up of some things that we'll be working on here in the near future. First topic, this new American white oak charred oak barrel. I think this is a 5 liter capacity. I bought this back in November. And my intention was to do an experiment to see if I could get something that I don't especially like. I know a lot of people do like this. Not a fan. It's relatively inexpensive as far as things go. To see if I can put some in here in this new oak barrel and rapid age it. So I put about 3 750 ml bottles, minus that much, into this barrel. And at least several times a week, sometimes every day, I come down here and shake it around and move it and that sort of thing. And then I let it sit for about 3.5 months. I emptied the contents of this about a week or so ago. And to my surprise, this is all I got out of it. I only got about a bottle worth. So I'm guessing the rest of that is the angel share, as they say. But you can definitely see, and I made my own little label. I used the mellow corn logo with an oak tree. This is oaked mellow corn. But you can see there's definitely a striking color difference. I mean, the straw yellow of the yellow corn and a bourbon-like color on the oaked mellow corn. And I don't know, that's hard to see, but tell the difference. So did it work? Well, I guess what I was trying to do is obviously make this corn whiskey taste a little bit more like bourbon. So that was my intent. So to remind myself, I'm going to take a little bit of a sip of this mellow corn whiskey. Strong ethanol nose. Of course, as you would expect, you do get a sweet corn note, because I believe this is 100% corn, if I'm not mistaken, bottled in bond. Let's give it a taste. I know it's 100 proof, but man, and I like high proof, I like barrel strength, but man, that hits me hard. The flavor is for me. And again, I know a lot of people like this stuff, and if that's what you like, drink it, because I'm a big fan. You drink what you like. Don't drink something because I say so or because somebody else says so. Pick what you like. And there's so much variety in whiskeys and bourbons and spirits in general. Chances are you're going to find something or a lot of some things that you like. So now let's try the oaked version. I mean, maybe not a huge surprise, but on the nose, I don't get any of that ethanol really. But I do get a strong oak on the nose. And on the taste, now that's been sitting in the bottle for a few days, but man, it's got some heat too. I think what I did on this one, I think I let it sit in the oak too long, because that's almost the only flavor note, that you get. It's burning. I'm going to do a quick rinse on that one, but. Did the experiment pass? Did it fail? What have you? I would say, for what I was trying to determine, is could I take a non-aged, actually this is bottle and bond, so it's actually aged, but a non-bourbon type of whiskey and give it more of a bourbon taste profile. And if I get some White Dogs or some moonshine or something like that, if I can come across that, I might try that again. But I would say from that experiment perspective, yeah, I mean, it definitely infused. I mean, this does taste older. It does have more of the oaky char type taste to it. So from that perspective, I mean, I was curious and it worked. And the reason I'm exploring the use of the barrel like this is, one day, someday down the road, I would love to get more into distillation and, maybe making my own whiskeys and things of that nature. And, I find, these barrels aren't too bad. And, I don't expect, I want to do a lot of experimentation. I want to try to find good flavor profiles and that sort of thing. So that was kind of interesting. It was a good experiment to run. Now, what I have done since emptying the contents of the barrel into this bottle is I have put more liquor in here. And what I put in this time, well, there's been a couple bourbons and whiskeys that I've had that bottles are kind of cool. The product inside, not so much. And there's a couple others that I do like that I put in here too. So I put 80 milliliters of St. Cloud 7-year bourbon, 220 milliliters of Willet Pot Still, 300 milliliters of Rittenhouse Rye. For the record, none of those were my favorites. In fact, so far they might be on a list of some of my least favorite whiskey products that I've had. But then I also added 200 milliliters of Buffalo Trace, 30 milliliters of Bibb & Tucker, and 170 milliliters of Nulu. So I'm going to see what it does. It's been in this barrel for, again, right at about a week, give or take. I'm probably not going to leave this in there for 3 months like I did the last time. So anyway, I just thought I'd update you there. So the next experiment, if you will. So as you might know, if you watched previous videos, I've done a few things with fermentation. I tried a persimmon wine that was pretty much a complete fail. I tried to do a pineapple jalapeno, I guess, wine. The alcohol content was there, but I put way too much jalapeno. So that's all I tasted was that heat. Might revisit that at some point. Then I did a blueberry mead, which we drank it all. So that was, I guess, a pretty successful fermentation. I've got a lot of requests to make more of that. It's on my to-do list. I plan to get my fermenters going here probably within the next week or so and start a few batches of blueberry mead. And then I decided to do a Pinot Noir wine. Both the blueberry mead and the Pinot Noir, I kind of got those recipes, if you will, from City Steady Brews and their YouTube channel. They make things super simple. Now, this Pinot is interesting because I'll have to check my notes to remind myself here, but it was it's changed over time. So I started this back in the middle of January, and I did my first racking at the end of January. I estimate this is about a 10.5% ABV based on the specific gravity readings that I took. But when I did the first racking, my tasting note said wine-like with subtle sweetness. And then a couple weeks after that, I did a second racking. And my note then was subtle sweetness, tastes like a young wine. And I had Amanda and some friends try this one night, and they all said it tasted like straight up vinegar. And I was like, okay, what do I do? Maybe I just turn this into a balsamic vinegar. But I just let it set for a couple more weeks. And then I decided to try something because to me, a lot of red wines have more of an oaky taste. And I wasn't ready to put it in here per se. But I did decide to get this oak infusion spiral. I grabbed a couple of these, but I put one in this bottle. And then I let it sit for, I think, about a day, maybe 2 days. And then I gave Amanda another sample because, she's gives great feedback as a critic. And she said that that was actually something that she would drink. So I'm thinking, again, it's been probably another week or so since my last tasting, that it's probably, the flavor is probably getting better yet still. So I've capped it. I'm going to just keep it in storage, but let's give it a taste. I mean, soft grape, not real sweet on the nose. I don't get any real oakiness on the nose either. See, it's got okay legs, but let's give it a taste. I mean, it's kind of boring. It needs something from a flavor profile perspective. So, I mean, it's not bad. Don't mishear me. I've had a lot of red wines that I buy at a store that tastes way worse than this. So it's drinkable. It's just a little flat, but I'm going to keep experimenting with the wine. In fact, something that I'm going to dive into or explore maybe here soon as well is I've got some elderberry syrup concentrate, and this is sort of inspired by my one of my favorite shows on TV called Moonshiners. I think one of the guys was making an elderberry moonshine, and elderberry is pretty well known for having some medicinal properties and things. So I've got a few bottles of concentrate. I might try to make a little bit of elderberry wine, so stay tuned on that. Again, I'm probably going to put this wine back on the shelf. It's okay. I might put that other oak spiral in the bottle too, because maybe that's where it needs. It's a little bit more of that oakiness. I get a touch, but not a lot. Okay, and now moving on to the next thing to my left on the table. I got a new toy, and part of why I got this is as I experiment with fermentations, I want to kind of take it to that next level or explore it a little bit further to see what can happen. If certain things happen, and I'm being somewhat vague, somewhat intentionally here, but you all can figure out this. So the first experiment that I ran was I put some Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot wine, a few bottles into this contraption, turned it on, let it run, and I got this pretty clear liquid. And I think by definition that would make this a brandy. I don't know. Give me some comments. If you're liking what you're hearing in this video so far, give me that good old thumbs up. I always forget that. So anyway, bear with me. But I think this is a brandy by definition. I could be mistaken. Certainly, if I am mistaken, correct me. Send me a note and comment, and because I want to be as accurate as possible. But the nose on this is it's bad, and I got about a mason jar full of this, and I don't know if I want to keep that. I've thought about putting an oak spiral in that jar as well to see if it does anything. But I guess from one perspective, we weren't huge fans of this wine. I mean, it's okay, but we weren't huge fans of it. And so if I'm not huge fans of that wine, then chances are I'm probably not going to be huge fans of what came out of that process of putting it in this contraption. But very simple. You just put stuff in here, you plug it in, you push the button, and you just wait. I think it took about 30 to 45 minutes or so before I started getting this clear liquid. And I threw out the heads. I tried to figure out, if I was into the hearts and that sort of thing. But I'm going to play around with that a little bit more. I don't know that I got the right product out, but let's give it a taste. Yeah, it's just, I wouldn't say it tastes like rubbing alcohol, but it kind of tastes like rubbing alcohol. That's bad. There's probably no reason for me to keep that jar. But like I said, I'm going to play around with that a little bit too. So lots of things going on. Elderberry wine, probably going to do that. I'm going to do the blueberry mead again. And got a few other things we're going to be trying. We've got this new contents in this barrel. We'll be doing some additional bourbon tastings and whiskey tastings and that sort of thing as well. Certainly open to your feedback. What suggestions, comments, feedback do you all have? What would you like to see me try? A friend of mine, he's been making a lot of wine. May try to get him here one episode. He did his most recent wine was like a pear wine, and it was so viscous, and the mouthfeel was wonderful, and the taste was remarkable as well. So I'm sure he's been doing some other wines since I've last seen him. But anyway, I appreciate y'all tuning in and watching. And as always, appreciate the thumbs up and, subscribe and all those sorts of things as well. And I'll talk to y'all real soon.